Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Purvajikacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhagavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sixth canto. Prescribed duties for mankind, chapter 8. The Narayana Kavacha shield. Text 1. Is that, do you have the, on your phone also?
Yeah.
Is it pulled up?
Kind of.
Would you like to read it?
The text?
The chapter summary.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Just need the microphone there.
Okay.
Chapter 8, the Narayana Kavacha shield.
Okay.
6-8.
Chapter 8, the Narayana Kavacha shield. This chapter describes how Indra, the king of heaven, was victorious over the soldiers of the demons, and it also describes the shield of the Viṣṇu mantra. To take protection from this shield, one must first touch kusha grass and wash one's mouth with Achaman mantras. One should observe silence and then place the 8-syllable Viṣṇu mantra on the parts of his body and place the 12-syllable mantra on his hands. The 8-syllable mantra is Om Namo Narayanaya. This mantra should be distributed all over the front and back of the body. The 12-syllable mantra, which begins with the pranava Omkara, is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. One syllable should be placed on each of the fingers and should be preceded by the pranava Omkara. Thereafter, one must chant Om Vishnave Namaha, which is a 6-syllable mantra. One must progressively place the syllables of the mantra on the heart, the head, between the 2 eyebrows, on the shika, and between the eyes. And then one should chant Ma Astraya Vat, and with this mantra protect himself from all directions. Nadevo Devam Archayet, one who has yet not risen to the level of a deva cannot chant this mantra. According to this direction of the Shastra, one must think himself qualitatively non-different from the Supreme. After finishing this dedication, one must offer a prayer to the 8-armed Lord Viṣṇu, who sits on the shoulders of Garuda Dev. One also has to think of the fish incarnation, Vamana, Kurma, Nishima, Varaha, Parashurama, Ramachandra, the elder brother of Lakshman, Nara Narayana, Dattatreya, an empowered incarnation, Kapila, Sanat Kumar, Hayagriva, Naradadev, the incarnation of a devotee, Dhanavantari, Rishabdev, Yagya, Balaram, Vasudev, Buddhadeva, and Keshava. One should also think of Govinda, the master of Vrindavan, and one should think of Narayan, the master of the spiritual sky. One should think of Madhusudana, Tridhama, Madhava, Rishikesh, Padmanabha, Janardhan, Damodar, Vishvavara, as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. After offering prayers to the Lord's personal expansions, known as the Swamsha and Saktyavesha avatars, one should pray to the weapons of the Lord Narayan, such as the Sudarshan, Gada, Sankha, Kagda, and bow. After explaining this process, Sukadeva Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit how Vishvarup, the brother of Ratasura, described the glories of the Narayan Kavacha to Indra.
There's one devotee. Yeah, you did. Thank you. You did well. There's one devotee. I remember he was quite new. I mean, not that new, but I don't know. Maybe been around for a couple of years, and he wasn't so expert in in saying the Sanskrit words. So we were reading Krishna book, and there's all these words coming up in the Krishna book, and the devotee, the brahmachari, is up there reading with him, and he was also kind of a humorous devotee, and kind of simple, humorous devotee. So he was trying to read all these Sanskrit terms, and he was just really not really messing things up. So at one particular point, the devotees couldn't control themselves. They were just started laughing, and but this devotee was also laughing, so it wasn't a. His name was. He moved.
Did?
No, he moved to like DC or something. He married. No, he married that from.
Oh, the other two.
He was up there in Escondido. He's a disciple of Bhakti Sundar Goswami.
Oh, Jivapava.
Yeah, Jivapava, yeah. So, when he was a bhakta. Text 1 and 2. I will just chant, yeah. So everybody can please. Shri Rajuvacha Ya Guptaha Sahasrakshaha Savahan Ripu Sainikan Kidan Iva Vinirjitya Trilokya Bubaje Shriyam Shri Rajuvacha Ya Gupta Sahasrakshaha Svahandripusainikan Kridan eva vinirjitya Trilokya bhubhajeshayam Shri Rajuvacha Ya Gupta Sahasraksha Svahandripusainikan Kridan eva vinirjitya Trilokya bhubhajeshayam Shri Rajavacha Yagupta Sahasraksha Svahandripusainikan Kridan eva vinirjitya Trilokya bhubhajeshayam Bhagavan's tanmamakyahi varma narayana mikam yatata tayina shatrun ina gupto jayanmadide. Word by word, Shri Rajuvacha. King Parikshit said, by which the spiritual armor, Guptaha, protected, Sahasra Akshaha, the 1,000-eyed King Indra, Savahan, with their carriers, Ripusainikan, the soldiers and commanders of the enemies, Kridan Eva, just like plain, Vinirjitya, conquering, Trilokyaha, of the three worlds, the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. Bhubhaje, enjoyed. Striyam, the opulence. Bhagavan, O great sage. Tat, that. Mama, unto me. Akyahi, please explain. Varma, defensive armor made of a mantra. Narayana Atmakam, consisting of the mercy of Narayan. Ita, in which way? Ata Tayinaha, who were endeavoring to kill him. Shatrun, enemies. Yena, by which? Guptaha, being protected. Ajayat, conquered. Midade, in the fight. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhu. King Parikshit inquired from Shukadev Goswami, my Lord, kindly explain the Viṣṇu mantra armor that protected King Indra, enabled him to conquer his enemies, along with their carriers, and enjoy the opulence of the three worlds. Please explain to me that Narayana armor by which King Indra achieved success in battle, conquering the enemies who were endeavoring to kill him. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, King Indra, the leader of the demigods, inquired about the armor known as Narayana Kavacha from Viṣṇu, who was engaged by the demigods as their priest. Please hear Viṣṇu's reply with great attention. Viṣṇu said, if some form of fear arrives, one should first wash his hands and legs clean and then perform achaman By chanting this mantra, Om Apavitra Apavitra Va Sarva Vastam Katopi Va Yasmarit Tvandarikaksham Sabhaya Bhyantara Shuchihi Shri Viṣṇu Shri Viṣṇu Shri Viṣṇu. Then one should touch kusha grass and sit gravely and silently facing north. When completely purified, one should touch the mantra composed of 8 syllables to the 8 parts of his body, and touch the mantra composed of 12 syllables to his hands. Thus, in the following manner, he should bind himself with the Narayana coat of armor. First, while chanting the mantra composed of 8 syllables, Om Namo Narayana, beginning with the pranava, the syllable Om, one should touch his hands to 8 parts of his body, starting with the 2 feet and progressing systematically to the knees, thighs, abdomen, heart, chest, mouth, and head. Then one should chant the mantra in reverse, beginning from the last syllable, Ya, while touching the parts of his body in the reverse order. These 2 processes are known as Utpatti Nyasa and Samhara Nyasa, respectively. Then one should chant the mantra composed of 12 syllables, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Preceding each syllable by the Omkar, one should place the syllables of the mantra on the lips of his fingers, on the tips of his fingers, beginning with the index finger of the right hand and concluding with the index finger of the left. The 4 remaining syllables should be placed on the joints of the thumbs. One must then chant the mantra of 6 syllables, Om Viṣṇave Namaha. One should place the syllable Om on his heart, the syllable Vai on top of his head, the syllable Sha between his eyebrows, the syllable Na on his tuft of hair, Shika, and the syllable Ve between his eyes. The chanter of the mantra should then place the syllable Na on all joints of his body and meditate on the syllable Ma as being a weapon. He should thus become the perfect personification of the mantra. Thereafter, adding Visarga to the final syllable Ma, he should chant the mantra Ma Astraya Fa in all directions, beginning from the east. In this way, all directions will be bound by the protective armor of the mantra. After finishing this chanting, one should think himself qualitatively one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full in 6 opulences and is worthy to be meditated upon. Then one should chant the following protective prayer to Lord Narayan, the Narayana Kavacha. The Supreme Lord, who sits on the back of the bird Garuda, touching him with his lotus feet, holds 8 weapons, the conch shell, dish, shield, sword, club, arrows, bow, and ropes. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead protect me at all times with his 8 arms. He is all-powerful because he fully possesses the 8 mystic powers, Anima, Lagama, etc. Purport. Thinking oneself one with the Supreme is called Ahangrahopasana. Through Ahangrahopasana, one does not become God, but he thinks of himself as qualitatively one with the Supreme. Understanding that as a spirit soul, he is equal in quality to the Supreme Soul, the way the water of a river is of the same nature as the water of the sea. One should meditate upon the Supreme Lord, as described in this verse, and seek his protection. The living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme. Consequently, their duty is to always seek the mercy of the Lord in order to be protected by him in all circumstances. Om Ganati Vedandasya Gananjana Shalakya Chakshulan Militamina Tasmai Shigrave Mahamakam Garivachalam Pangam Langai Tegadim Yakipadamham Bande Shigrundi Taranam Fancha Kapadri Vishta Kipasin Bevachapatitanam Bhavani Beo Vaishnavi Vyoramana Maha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this description is into a very elaborate description of this Narayana Kavacha. Vishwarup priest is giving this process. And our particular process in this age is chanting Hare Krishna, which in many ways is a lot, I mean, it's simple. It's less of a procedure than like what's being described here. And like Srila Prabhupada said about deity worship, because one could really, there could be very long, you could say complicated procedures for deity worship. Even now, for example, like in South India, they'll be on the altar for many hours in the morning, which, I mean, is what they're doing is, I mean, provided they're doing it in a devotional way, it's you know, spiritual and transcendental. So, but it's a bit of a different process that Srila Prabhupada emphasized. But they'll be they'll be in the morning there for many hours, with the altar closed, with the curtain closed, and then it's time for darshan, and they open up for darshan, and the deity is very simply dressed, you know, wearing a helmet and a garland and a few necklaces and a dress, right? So then some may wonder, well, what were they doing all morning? Because we dress the deities, I mean, within the ISKCON, ISKCON is the leading Vaishnava group in the world at present. So many temples over the world, so many deities. And what to speak of deities in devotees' homes, so a lot of deity worship going on. But if you just look at all the ISKCON temples throughout the world, we close the altar, we dress the deities, and yeah, there's turbans, there has to be turbans with decorations and flowers, and all the deities have turbans, so yeah, it takes some time. But it's not that we close the altar for 2 hours and then you open it up and, you know, the deities are just wearing a helmet and some necklaces, right, and dress. So the process is different. So what are they doing? That's the question. What are they doing there in South India? They're chanting mantras. They're chanting a lot of mantras, and they're doing a lot of different purification for themselves and, you know, mantras. And just like they say, if you were to chant Gayatri mantra, like Brahmins, those initiated, second initiation, they morning, noon, evening. If you were to do all the Achman process and the whole thing, it would take a lot longer, 30, 40 minutes, who knows. You could spend an hour chanting Gayatri. I don't think. So it's a bit different. So here it's a bit of a complex process being described. And of course, there's even more complex process described in the Bhagavatam. But whatever the process, the idea is the same. The idea is to purify the consciousness, and to make the consciousness ready to worship Krishna, and then to also get the result. We do want a result. It's not that we're just purifying ourselves to the process of worshiping Krishna to get no result. We do want a result. Not a material result, but we want a spiritual result. So when Prabhupada was talking about deity worship, he said, devotees were asking him, he said, keep it simple, because the process for this age is chanting Hare Krishna. But us rising in the morning, we rise every day in the morning, we brush our teeth, right? Very important. We brush our teeth before we shower, not after. Brush our teeth before we shower. We do all these things before, shave and brush teeth and these different things, because they're considered unclean things. And then you shower. And ideally, we would be chanting and thinking about, right, Krishna consciousness, thinking about devotional things. Also, cold water is important. It's purifying. It also purifies the subtle body. Even modern, of course, we don't care what modern studies say, right? I mean, I'll just mention it, but not that we care, but I'm just mentioning. Even modern studies, right? People, oh, really, ears perk up. Oh, modern studies. Even modern studies will say that using cold water in the morning, it's very healthy and aiding at getting free of depression. Of course, that can't be the only thing, but it helps. It's a depressing world. It's hard not to be depressed here. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dukkalam Ashashvatam, it's a place of suffering. So it's not a surprise that it's hard not to be depressed. But for devotees, you be Krishna conscious, and then Vishram Purnasakayate, the place is full of happiness, happy opportunities to serve Krishna. But so then, get out, and we put on tilak in different places, right, on the body, chanting mantras, names of Krishna, and putting on clean cloth that is clean, means not been worn or the previous day, just means fresh, clean cloth. So you have to be washing clothes regularly. And then we come downstairs and we offer obeisances to the spiritual master, chanting pranam mantra of one's Diksha Guru and Srila Prabhupada, the full mantra, Srila Prabhupada's mantra, not half the mantra. Can you just close that there, please? Thanks. And then we there to greet the deities, and we're singing and worshiping the spiritual master. And so this preparation in the morning, it's preparing, it's purifying. We're trying to get our consciousness ready to worship Krishna, to worship the spiritual master. So it's very important. But then in the process of worshiping, if we focus our minds on the meaning of the songs and the whole reason why we're singing, then we'll make more rapid progress to actually achieving what we're supposed to achieve. So all of these processes are the same, complicated or simple, but they're the same in the sense that they're aiming towards the same goal. Getting ready, purifying ourselves, getting ready to worship. And then while we're worshiping, what does it say? We have to seek protection. We're praying to Lord Nrsingadev every day. Please protect me, please protect us. Please protect the movement, right? We are praying to Krishna every day. We're praying to the spiritual master every day. Please protect us. Please protect me from Maya, from the illusory energy of the Lord. And if we're fortunate, we could also have other people praying for us. Not because we're a lost cause, but out of their friendship, out of their kindness, they're praying for us. Many, or at least some devotees, they do that. Like I was speaking with one devotee, and then they were saying, yes, I will keep you in my prayers. I said, okay, great, thank you. I need as many prayers as I could get. So, to seek protection, so we have to feel that we need protection. We have to feel that we need protection. And as Srila Prabhu would say that the problem with my disciples, my American disciples, which by the way, most of Prabhupada's disciples were American anyways. American, European, that was like 90 American European disciples were 95% of his disciples. So when he says my American European disciples, he didn't have many Indian disciples at the time. Actually, Prabhupada didn't have many Indian disciples at all, really, in India. It all happened after Prabhupada left. That's when Hare Krishna explosion happened in India. I mean, it was happening when Prabhupada was there, but it really took off, it's been growing ever since. Now there's thousands of initiated devotees in India. But he said the problem with my American European disciples, practically all of his disciples at the time, more or less, was that they're not afraid of Maya enough. So they kind of feel that they could kind of mix with Maya and be okay. Like it's all right. Mix with Maya a little bit. But we shouldn't feel like that. We should feel that, okay, that Maya is very dangerous and I need protection from Maya. Therefore, I need to pray. And Prabhupada would do that every day, he said. Like one time, he was at some TV interview, and then some devotee was glorifying Prabhupada afterwards, his disciples said, Prabhupada was very great, this and that. And then Prabhupada said, every night before I go to sleep, I pray to Krishna that he protects me from Maya. It's also a good principle to pray before one sleeps, because while one sleeps, they could forget Krishna. It happens, right? Forget who we are, forget Krishna, forget everything. And besides forgetting Krishna, we remember all types of mundane things. So we should pray to Lord Nrsingadev also before resting, and it's also good. Seeking protection. And Prabhupada says that the purport is subordinate, we're always subordinate to the Supreme. And it's our duty always to seek the mercy of the Lord in order to be protected by Him in all circumstances. So if we're not seeking the mercy of the Lord, then we won't be so protected. We may wonder, why aren't we being protected? Well, we may not be praying enough. We may not be seeking the protection enough, and therefore Krishna is not protecting us. So we have to seek that protection. Okay, we'll read another verse. 13. May the Lord, who assumes the body of a great fish, protect me in the water from the fierce animals that are associates of the demigod Varuna. By expanding his illusory energy, the Lord assumes... You could pray before you go in the ocean, before you do your body surfing. May this Lord, who assumes the body of a great fish, protect me in the water from the fierce animals that are associates of demigod Varuna. Right? Great prayer for that. Or you're swimming, if you're not so sporty. By expanding his illusory energy, the Lord assumed the form of the dwarf Vamana. May Vamana protect me on the land. Since the gigantic form of the Lord Viṣṇu conquers the three worlds, may he protect me in the sky. Purport. This mantra seeks the protection of the Supreme Personality of God in the water, land, and sky in his incarnations as the fish, Vamanadev and Viṣṇu, and the Viṣṇu. All right, this is for 14, Nrsingadev. May Lord Nrsingadev, who appeared as the enemy of Hiranyakashipu, protect me in all directions. His loud laughing vibrated in all directions and caused the pregnant wives of the Suras to have miscarriages. May that Lord be kind enough to protect me in difficult places like the forest and battlefront. The Supreme and Indestructible Lord is ascertained through the performance of ritualistic sacrifices and therefore known as Yogeshvara. In his incarnation as Lord Boar, he raised the planet Earth from the water at the bottom of the universe and kept it on his pointed tusk. May that Lord protect me from rogues on the street. Rogues on the street, huh? You could use this prayer when you're in New York City or Los Angeles. May Parshuram protect me, or Sankirtan. May Parshuram protect me on the tops of the mountains. And may the elder brother of Bharat, Lord Ramchandra, along with his brother Lakshman, protect me in foreign countries. Purport. There are three Ramas. One Ram is Parashuram, Jamadagnya. Another Ram is Lord Ramchandra, and a third Ram is Lord Balaram. In this verse, the word Ramo Dri Kutishvata indicate Lord Parshuram, the brother of Bharat Maharaj, and Lakshman is Lord Ramchandra. 16. May Lord Narayan protect me from unnecessarily following false religious systems and falling from my duties due to madness. May the Lord in his appearance as Nada protect me from unnecessary pride. May Lord Dattatreya, the master of all mystic power, protect me from falling while performing Bhakti Yoga. And may Lord Kapila, the master of all good qualities, protect me from the material bondage of fruitive activities. May Sanat Kumar protect me from lusty desires. As I begin some auspicious activity, may Lord Hadagriva protect me from being an offender by neglecting to offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord. May Devarshi Narada protect me from committing offenses and worshipping the deity, and may Lord Korma, the tortoise, protect me from falling to the unlimited hellish planets. Purport. Lusty desires are very strong in everyone, and they are the greatest impediment to the discharge of devotional service. Therefore, those who are very much influenced by lusty desires are advised to take shelter of Sanat Kumar, the great brahmachari devotee. Some devotees also pray to Hanuman. Hanuman's a brahmachari. You could pray to Hanuman. I know also householders, they also, in relation to, they pray to Hanuman as a brahmachari for protection. Narada Muni, who is the guide for Archan, is the author of the Narada Pantaratra, which prescribes the regulative principles for worshiping the deity. Everyone engaged in deity worship, whether at home or in the temple, should always seek the mercy of Devarsha Narada in order to avoid the 32 offenses while worshiping the deity. These offenses in deity worship are mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion. Text 18. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Dhanvantari relieve me from undesired eatables and protect me from physical illness. May Lord Rishabhadev, who conquered his inner and outer senses, protect me from fear produced by the duality of heat and cold. May Yagya protect me from defamation and harm from the populace. And may Lord Balaram as Shesha protect me from envious serpents. Purport. To live within this material world, one must face many dangers as described herein. For example, undesirable food poses a danger to health, and therefore one must give up such food. The Dhanvantari incarnation can protect us in this regard. Since Lord Viṣṇu is the supersoul of all living entities, if he likes, he can save us from adibhotika disturbances from other living entities. Lord Balaram is the Shesha incarnation, and therefore he can save us from angry serpents or envious persons who are always ready to attack. Okay, text 19. May the personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Vyasadeva protect me from all kinds of ignorance resulting from the absence of Vedic knowledge. May Lord Buddhadev protect me from activities opposed to Vedic principles and from laziness that causes one to madly forget the Vedic principles of knowledge and ritualistic action. May Kalki Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared as an incarnation to protect religious principles, protect me from the dirt of the age of Kali. There's that devotee, disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Vikash Swami named Kalki. It's a Moggalila's godbrother. He was here actually under the pretext of getting a root canal done. Very painful surgery. But he went down to the dentist and they said, "Oh, you don't need a root canal." So he came all the way over here. Anyways, we got his association, but his name's Kalki. And I've never heard of a devotee named Kalki before. So he actually requested his spiritual master, "Can you give him the name Kalki?" Interesting. I don't know if you knew that. Purport. This verse mentions various incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who appear which is the last incarnation of this age of Kali, comes and kills all the atheists. This verse mentions various incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who appear for various purposes. Srila Vyasadeva, Mahamuni, that's his Prabhupada disciple, Mahamuni. He's here in San Diego. I was trying to remember his name of the day. I was telling you about him. So, Mahamuni compiled the Vedic literature for the benefit of all human society. If one wants to be protected from the reactions of ignorance, even in this age of Kali, one must consult the books left by Srila Vyasadeva, namely the 4 Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva, the 108 Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, Brahma Sutra, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahapurana, Vyasadev's commentary on the Brahma Sutra, and the other 17 Puranas. Only by the mercy of Srila Vyasadeva do we have so many volumes of transcendental knowledge to save us from the clutches of ignorance. As described by Srila Jayadeva Goswami in his Dasavatar Stotra, Lord Buddha apparently decried the Vedic knowledge. Nindasi yagya vidir ahaha shuti jatam sadaya hridaya darshita pashugatam keshavadrita buddha sharira jai jagadisha hare. The mission of Lord Buddha was to save people from the abominable activity of animal killing and to save the poor animals from being unnecessarily killed. When Pashandis were cheating by killing animals on the plea of sacrificing them in Vedic yagyas, the Lord said, "If the Vedic injunctions allow animal killing, I do not accept the Vedic principles." Thus, he actually saved people who acted according to Vedic principles. One should therefore surrender to Lord Buddha so that he can help one avoid misusing injunctions of the Vedas. The Kalki avatar is the fierce incarnation who vanquishes the class of atheists born in this age of Kali. Now, in the beginning of Kali Yuga, many irreligious principles are in effect, and as Kali Yuga advances, many pseudo-religious principles will certainly be introduced, and people will forget the real religious principles enunciated by Lord Krishna before the beginning of Kali Yuga, namely principles of surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord. Unfortunately, because of Kali Yuga, foolish people do not surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. Even most people who claim to belong to the Vedic system of religion are actually opposed to the Vedic principles. Every day, they manufacture a new type of dharma on the plea that whatever one manufactures is also a path of liberation. Atheistic men generally say, "Yatta mat tata pat." According to this view, there are hundreds and thousands of different opinions in human society, and each opinion is a valid religious principle. This philosophy of rascals has killed the religious principles mentioned in the Vedas. And such philosophies will become increasingly influential as Kali Yuga progresses. The last stage of Kali Yuga, Kalki Dev, the fierce incarnation of Keshava, will descend to kill all the atheists and will save only the devotees of the Lord. So, Kalki Dev, may he protect me from the dirt of the age of Kali. So we have these Vedic literatures. Of course, there's many Vedic literatures, which, I mean, even if we tried very hard, or if somebody tried very hard, I don't think they could complete with the amount of engagement we have in this world, external engagement in the world. It's just so much to read. It's just, even if one was to try to complete the works of the Goswamis, our Goswamis, and other Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada's books and all the commentaries, it's a lot to go through. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote a whole commentary on the Bhagavatam, and anyways, there's a lot. So I don't think anyone's going to be able to read this Sama, Yajur, Rig, Atharva, and the 180 Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra, and the Mahabharata, and the Srimad Bhagavatam, and all of these. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada condensed it, and he actually said that if you just read these books of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna book, Nectar Devotion, if you just focus on these books, these are sufficient actually to become fully Krishna conscious. And he said they're Bhagavad Gita also. And he said they're sufficient to preach if we just know these books. So he said to focus on those. So therefore, we have classes, right, morning, evening, and then there's classes we could be listening to on our free time, or listening. And then we become saved from the clutches of ignorance. We become enlightened. So to read regularly, to hear regularly, this helps us greatly. Or else we're hearing our mind. May not have the best ideas. So Lord Buddha, it's mentioned here, Lord Buddha, he came to stop this abominable killing of animals. The Pashandis, the atheists, were killing animals on the plea of sacrificing them for Vedic yagyas. Lord Buddha came and he said, stop. So it's amazing because if you look at the religious world now, just this very basic principle they argue about. Not only do they not accept it, not only do they not follow it, that's one thing. Like, you're so unfortunate and that you don't follow it. But, so that's one problem. But the second problem is that if you bring it up to them, they actually argue about it. They defend it. Like it's like the right thing to do. That's very unfortunate. Because one thing is if you're doing a stupid thing or an evil thing or a wrong thing, if somebody comes up to you and you say, what are you doing? This is why you shouldn't do it, all these logical points. And the person says, you know what? I accept that. I accept it. Those are great points. And I feel very bad for not following them for so long. And I'm going to follow them from this day on. But go to any of these religious people, any of these groups. Go to any of them. Go to the leaders of the groups. Go to the leaders and the followers of the groups. Now, okay, not all of them will be of the same nature, but a lot of them will be of the same nature. They'll fight you. They'll fight against it. So attached to their gratification of their tongue. They'll fight about it. It's amazing, actually. And this is Kali Yuga. That they do irreligious things and they think they're religious. It's amazing. And without following this basic principle, how can one make the progress that they're supposed to make in spiritual life? So sometimes we say that, the Hare Krishna movement, it's right, saving humanity, all these different things, and of course we don't see like throngs and throngs of people joining, but even just on a basic level, in terms of spiritual education, it is by far giving people real religious principles in comparison to others, even in the basic level. So we should try to remember that and be grateful and try to preach to people and help them. And then Kalki Avatar is mentioned also, vanquishes the atheists born in this Kali Yuga. So Prabhupada says that over time, irreligious principles, every day, they manufacture a new type of dharma. And yeah, so it's just a bunch of mental concoction. They haven't read the scriptures, they don't know what they're talking about, but they just act like they do, and they get millions of followers. So it is the business of those in the Hare Krishna movement to live by religious principles and to also to teach by their speaking and also by their example and by giving them books and helping them to understand the books. And in this way, we could be protected, actually. It says that those who protect Dharma are protected by Dharma. So we have to try to protect Dharma, and then we'll be protected. So, okay, does anybody have any question or comment? Okay, Joseph.
What are some of the examples of protecting Dharma?
Well,
what can I do?
What do you say, Mogalila?
You'd say like maintaining religious principles yourself, following religious principles, and as much as you can preaching to others to follow religious principles, helping others to follow religious principles.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I know I'm in the age of Kali Yuga. I thought it was the age of Aquarius until I came here. But anyway, you said we're in the third period of the Kalki Dave?
Well, he's coming later.
Like a real
incarnation, yeah. Much
on
later.
this planet.
Yeah, much later.
We'll see that. Oh, much later. Not my lifetime.
No, much later.
Okay.
All right, any Zoomers? No Zoomers. All right. Do you have something?
I had something about freedom. Something about what you said about that.
All right. Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
jai.